Hi, thank you for inviting me to present today, and I'll just get right to my presentation. It's on economic network dynamics under BJP governance and analysis of India's input-output networks with evidence from 2014 to 2019. My name is Ishaan Gangwani. I'm a senior attending high school in India. Good afternoon to you all, and good evening for me. My Cambridge mentor was Dr. Daniel Kissis. He's a senior research fellow at Cambridge University. The study explores the evolution of India's economic network during the initial BJP government from 2014 to 2019. The focus is on how the introduction of certain policies has influenced the structure and resilience of the economy. Input output networks provide a framework for understanding these dynamics by mapping the interdependencies between various economic sectors. The main three objectives for the paper were to construct input output tables for India from 2014 to 2019, analyze network changes, examining shifts in the structure and connectivity of India's economic network over the 5-year period. Thirdly, shock propagation, simulate shocks to observe how disruptions in specific sectors affect the overall economy and individual sectors. We then identified and analyzed the sectors with significant impacts. The research question I aim to address is how has India's national input output network evolved under the first term of the BJP government? Input output tables are basically economic models that illustrate the interdependencies between different sectors of an economy. They map out how the output of one sector is used as the input for another, as well as the final consumption and overall economic output. The Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has been producing IO tables for India since 1968 to 1969. The most recent table was from 2007 to 2008. It was a 130 sector table. Due to the lack of new official input-output tables, the supply and use tables were used to prepare the input-output tables for India. The formats of the tables are as follows. The input-output table has the intermediate use matrix within it, and the final use and the total output, whereas the use table, which was used to prepare this input-output table, has the intermediate use matrix at purchaser prices, with the final use matrix and total use at purchaser price. So the use tables are formatted as commodity by industry, product by industry, whereas the input output tables are supposed to be industry by industry matrices. So this was the biggest challenge while preparing the data. The methodology of preparation collected and mapped the data to a 131 sector structure to align with the previous input output tables and maintain consistency. I converted purchasers' prices to basic prices by isolating and calculating net indirect taxes and trade and transport margin using the derived ratios. Thirdly, I adjusted sectoral structure and mapped the sectoral data to the 131 sector format, utilizing historical data for accurate sectoral consistency and transformation. Fourth, I applied the technology assumptions. The IO table were under the assumption that all products within an industry use a uniform input structure to avoid negative entries and ensure analytical consistency. Fifthly, I validated and aggregated these tables. The IO tables were validated through a cross verification with national accounts data and aggregated the 131 sectors into a 66 sector structure for a focused analysis of the input output network. This is what the India's national input output network looks like. The nodes are economic sectors in the input output framework. The edges are transactions between the sectors showing direction. The weights were value of transactions indicating magnitude. The directed network structure illustrates the flow of resources from producing to consuming sectors. The highest degree central sectors have been labeled. These are some of the technical analysis aspects of the input-output network. The first graph looks at link weight probability density function. It identifies the heavily tailed distribution of link weights. In the case of India's national input-output network, there exists heavy tail distribution of link weights, and this means there is a presence of dominant connections in the network. The second graph looks at links versus reciprocating links. This shows a positive correlation between link weights and reciprocating link weights. This explains the mutual significance of strong connections between nodes. The third graph looks at compares the out strengths and in strengths. This essentially means the nodes initially start as sources before becoming central. So initially, when the nodes start out, they tend to have higher number of out strengths, outgoing edges. Whereas as they become more central, the number of incoming edges start increasing. And lastly is the graph for in strength versus out strength. This shows the balance around y equal to xy with some variability. This identifies central hubs and influential sectors. This this technical analysis was consistent throughout the 5 years of preparation, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. This was consistent throughout the 5 years with no major changes in the structure. Then centrality measures. These centrality measures were averaged across the 5 years for a eagle eye view. The top sectors by centrality measures were in degree centrality, electricity and manufacturing of machinery and equipments took the spotlight. In between the centrality, manufacture of optical electronic products and water transport were the most central. For degree centrality, highest degree centrality is because they have numerous direct connections with other sectors. The high connectivity suggests that these sectors are fundamental to the economy. These serve as major hubs in the network. Their extensive linkages likely result from the broad role in providing essential services or products that feed into various industries. The between the centrality, manufacturing of optical and electronic products and water transport have high between us centralities because they act as intermediaries that bridge connections between other sectors. These make them crucial for maintaining the connectivity and efficiency of the network. Their role as intermediaries can enhance the influence over the overall economic dynamics. Then come closeness centrality. Manufacture of chemical and chemical products along with trade rank high in closeness centrality due to their ability to reach all the other sectors quickly. This efficiency in accessing various parts of the networks means these sectors can rapidly respond to changes and disruptions in the economy. Then eigenvector centrality. Construction has the highest eigenvector centrality because it's not only well connected, but also linked to other well connected sectors. This suggests its importance in the network is amplified by its connections to other influential sectors. The presence of high eigenvector centrality in sectors like chemical products and textiles indicates that these sectors are influential due to their connection with other significant nodes in the network. PageRank centrality. Construction and trade have high PageRank scores because they're influential sectors that are not only well connected, but also hold substantial sway in the network due to their relationships with other important networks. These are the network trends. Firstly, the Make in India initiative. This policy, as you can see on the right first, the degree centrality over time for the manufacturing sectors has shown a gradual uptrend. It has overall had an increase throughout the 5 years. This can be attributed to the Make in India initiative that was launched by the Modi government in 2014. This policy promoted increasing production capacity and foreign investment, boosting the role of manufacturing sectors in the economy. Then supply chain integration. Enhanced supply chain networks connected manufacturers more closely with other sectors, increasing their centrality. Infrastructure upgrades, development of industrial corridors and improved logistics networks facilitated greater interaction between manufacturing and other sectors. And lastly, technology adoption. Advanced manufacturing technologies and automation led to higher integration with sectors such as electronics and materials, increasing their centrality, influence, and centrality, basically. Then network trends. This is the network density throughout the 5 years. As you can see, there is a net-to-net increase in the network density throughout the 5 years. However, along with the global clustering coefficient. However, there is a dip in 2016 and 17, which we will come to later. The network trends has shown a gradual increase due to the implementation of GST. The introduction of the goods and services tax streamlined tax structures, reducing intersectoral barriers and increasing economic integration. Along with other things like support for MSMEs, which leads to more diverse and interconnected sectoral linkages, contributing to higher network density. Here are the network trends. So as you can see, in 2016, there was a sharp decline in degree centrality and closeness centrality for cash-dependent sectors. These sectors are the sectors which are dependent on cash for the most part, like agriculture, retail, trade, etc. This can be attributed to demonetization. Demonetization disrupted cash flows and reduced economic transactions, leading to a liquidity crunch causing bottlenecks in the financial and manufacturing sectors. This led to reduced activity, lowered sector interactions, and network density. However, in 2017, most of the demonetized currency notes were returned. This restored liquidity, increased activity, resumed economic transactions, and improved overall network density. This policy measure supported economic stability. This is evidenced by these graphs, where the degree centrality and closeness centrality for cash dependent sectors saw a sharp decline in 2016. However, they managed to recover and go further ahead in 2017 and 18. Shock propagation. We employed we employed a network model which measures shock propagation throughout the network by altering the outputs of the nodes. So the methodology of applying shocks in an input-output network. So an input-output model, as told before, represents the economic transactions between different sectors of an economy. The framework is typically based on the following components. G represents the different sectors, and the transactions are represented as directed edges. G equals to V comma E will be a directed graph where V is the set of nodes and E is the set of transactions. W will be the weight matrix. Wij represents the weight of the edge from node I to node J. A shock is a sudden reduction in the output of a sector. This shock propagates through the network, affecting other sectors. Over here, if a shock intensity is applied to a given node, the new weight of the edges originating from I is given by equation 1.2, where the weights are updated. After this, the total output is a sum of the weights of all the edges. So after applying the shock, the total output is altered. This leads to an impact of difference between the initial total output and the new total output. And the recovery time is given by the time the network takes to recover to the original output. The average impact and recovery time across multiple shocks is given by the equations in 1.5. The sectorial representation resilience is given by the following graph. These are the average recovery times by sector for a given shock. So this was modeled through the previous methodology. And over here, we can see sectors like agriculture, manufacturing of transport, manufacturing of coke and refined petroleum are some of the most least resilient sectors, as they take the highest time to recover from a given shock. Economic resilience through the years. The graph on the right represents economic resilience through the years. Demonetization shock. The abrupt withdrawal of high value currency led to immediate disruptions in economic activities, reducing cash flow and causing widespread inefficiencies. The propagation of this shock created transaction delays and bottlenecks across various sectors, hindering economic interactions and amplifying the initial shock throughout the network. The liquidity was restored, however, in 2017, and most of the demonetized currency returned to the banking system, leading to an economic rebound with improved liquidity and supportive measures. Economic activities resumed and sectors recovered, mitigating the effects of the initial shock and leading to a stronger and more resilient network. The limitations of the study were simplified economic dynamics. Firstly, the methodology assumes linear input-output relationships and uniform technology across industries, which may not fully capture complex nonlinear economic interactions or changes. Sector aggregation. Aggregating the 131x131 IO tables into a 66 by 66 structure may obscure sector-specific details and nuances, potentially affecting the accuracy of sectoral analysis. Data dependence and consistency. Reliance on historical IO tables and manual adjustments for data inconsistencies introduces potential inaccuracies, especially if the historical data is outdated or inconsistently applied. However, there are many more references. The two major references were a paper which detailed the methodology of creation of an input-output table from supply and use tables, and the production networks primer, which provided me knowledge on economic shock propagation. Thank you. That's it.
Well, thank you very much, Ishaan, for a very thorough analysis of economic resilience and interdependency under the first term of the BJP. An excellent start to day 2 of our research symposium.